Welcome to the What's New of SPAD.next 0.7. Before we start, a little notice: there will be a German version of this broadcast. Shortly. Eine deutsche Version des What's New wird in den nächsten Tagen zur Verfügung stehen. Okay, let's start. So the first thing you will notice when you start SPAD.next 0.7 is the all new configuration wizard, which will help you to get through the configuration and get all the new nifty stuff installed. So let's just go ahead and start it. So there it just pops up. Let me make it a little bigger so you can see it. First of all, it will ask you if you are installing SPAD.next on the same computer as your simulator or on a different computer. So if you're connecting to the simulator on another computer. In my case, I will just select same computer to make it easy. Then you start the wizard and it will start with a detection of Microsoft Flight Simulator. It will detect any FSX version installed. It will first look for the release version of Microsoft and then look for Flight Simulator Steam Edition version. You will notice this here if it's found. If it's not found, you will get an error message and be asked to check the location or change the location manually. You can do this by clicking the change location button and select the appropriate directory. If you have more than one version of FSX installed, just select the version you want to use FSX the most with. Very important for the wizard to test all the connections. It's really important that the simulator is running while running the configuration wizard, else you cannot check the connection. If you don't want to use SPAD.next with FSX or don't have FSX installed, just click the little checkbox here and you will be noticing that it's enabled. Sorry. So we go to the next step. We enable it, of course. In the next step, it will try to locate prepared ID 3D. It will recognize the version 2, the version 2.5 or the version 3. SPAD.next runs with all of those three versions. Select the one you prefer. Or again, if it's not installed, just click this little checkbox. In the next step, we have the FSU IPC detection. In the free version, only FSU IPC connections are supported. So FSU IPCs should be installed. If you're local running, remember first page of the wizard, it will look for the DLL of FSU IPC if it's installed. If you're running remotely, it will try to connect to FSU IPC. That's why it's important that the simulator is running. If it couldn't detect FSU IPC, again you will see an error message and be asked to redo the test. You can do this at any time by going back to the previous step and go to the next step again. So it will be forced to evaluate again. If you don't have FSU IPC installed, just disable it. Or if you're planning to use SPAD.next with a lot of add-on aircraft like the PMDG or Aerosoft or Wilco Airbus or many others like the A2A simulation aircrafts, Those require SimConnect to work, to be supported. I recommend to disable FSU IPC in this case just to save CPU time. There's no technical reason, it's just performance reasons. I'll leave it enabled for this. No, I leave it disabled because I'm just going to show SimConnect features anyway. So on the next page we have the SimConnect connection detection. It will look for the correct version of SimConnect being installed on your computer. That even applies to Prepared 3D. If you have Prepared 3D and no FSX installed, it will warn you that it couldn't find the correct version of SimConnect most likely, and provide you with a download link for the SimConnect version that is needed to run with SimConnect LVAR support. Just install it and all will be fine. It will be running with Prepare 3D as well. If you don't want to use SimConnect, again, disable it. But since we want to show the new stuff, we need it. So then we have, if we want to connect to this computer or to a remote computer, we have to enter the credentials of the computer, like the IP of the computer and the port. This time we are just doing local connection. For remote connection, there will be a wiki page up in the next days how to configure that and how to check it. Then we can do a test connection. I will do it right now. My simulator is not running, as you can see, so I'm just gonna restart with Prepart ID, I think. So we just open it. Games prepare. I don't have the V3 yet. Still pondering if I'm gonna buy it. So while it starts up, just wait a second. Could have started it before. All these features I'm going to show in the next minutes are registered version only features, unless I explicitly say it's for the free version. All the LVAR stuff is registered version only, so it's Prepared ID coming up. Sorry. Should be done in any second. Come on. Should be done now. So I can move away the window and test the connection again. Okay, here it is. So we just do it a little bit smaller, move it away so it doesn't disturb us, and test connection again. And now the connection test is successful and SimConnect was detected, and the next step will be enabled. In case you don't want to start your simulator, of course no checks can be done. You can skip the connection test. In the next step, the configuration wizard will be checking if PMGG 737 or 77 is installed in the correct version that is needed. This will be done either if you're remotely locally by checking the DLL of PMGG. If you're remotely, it will try to connect to the PMGG SDK and check if it gets a callback from it. There are some possibilities that come out here. That's SP2 detected and enabled broadcast entry found. That's all is fine, nothing has to be done. Ready to go with SPAD.next. Then we have in the 77X here, we have SP2 detected, but SDK is not enabled. the config wizard will try to enable it for you automatically. If that fails, you will get a notice. You will see that in a second. Same will be done for the PMDG prepared 3D versions. Again, there is a wiki page where you can look up how to check this manual and enable this manually. If no PMDG plane is found, you can disable the PMDG support and all will be fine. If there's a problem with writing to the ini files required to enable the broadcast, which literally turns on the possibility to communicate with the PMDG aircraft from within SPAD.next, you will get an error message and the remark to enable it manually. Again, check the wiki for how to do it and what to do. And we go to the next phase. Now interesting stuff starts. It's the LVAR support within SPAD.next. So a little excursus. What's an LVAR? It's a local aircraft variable that is being used in gauges and add-on aircrafts usually. Normally there's no way to access those, but within the simulator itself. Since SPAD.next runs outside the simulator, usually it doesn't have access to this. Therefore, a little plugin for the simulators exists, SPAD.next Bridge, which allows us to communicate with those internal variables. Again, there will be a wiki page within the next days explaining this very detailed in English and in German, and what to do if you want to use LVARs and running SPAD.next remotely, how to enable it locally. Basically by install and enable LVAR support, the configuration wizard will add an entry to the DLL.xml file of the simulator, loading the bridge automatically, and it will check if the executable package Visual Studio 2013 is installed. If it's not installed, you will be provided with an install link. If you install SPAD.next using the installer, it will be installed automatically. So in my case, for both simulators, it's in the DLL.xml, of course, already. When the wizard makes changes to the file, it makes a backup copy called dll.xml.before SPAD.next. So if you got any problems, you can always revert to your original version. What I forgot to mention in the beginning is that the configuration wizard will not do any changes to your system before it's completed. So if you exit the wizard at any time, no changes will be done. Let's go to the next set. We are almost done. It's just an overview about the settings we selected, like what versions have been found, if LVAR should be enabled or disabled, and if there is anything to do with the PMDGs, it will be show up here as well. This is only the basic configuration. There are a lot of more configuration settings in the software settings, which I will show in a second what changed there. So if we click apply settings now, changes will be done to your system, mainly the SPAD.next configuration file, as well as the DLL entries for the simulator, and if necessary the entries to the PMDG option files. If any error occurs, it will show up on the next screen. So in our case, we just had the application settings to apply, and everything else was installed already. Now, in one of the last steps, profile upgrade will happen. Due to the introduction of LVARs and local SPAD.next variables, the format of the profile had to be changed a little bit. And to make it easier for you, an automatic profile upgrade is included in the configuration wizard as well in the normal program. If you load an old profile, it will automatically be upgraded. In this case, with the configuration wizard, all profiles will be upgraded automatically, and backup copies of the profile will be saved in a subfolder called pre0.7 in your profiles folder of SPAD.next. So let's give it a go. Pretty empty directory. I just have demo profile and my profile. It says success for upgrading successfully. If it says failed, you can check the SPAD.next log file to see what failed. But basically it means that the profile is broken anyway. Now we come to the last step on the wizard. If you already have started SPAD.next before and have a default profile, you will not see the lower part of the screen. It's only for new installations. It will ask you what profile to start with, and will show you a couple of profiles. In this case, I will go with the SimConnect base profile. Now we complete the wizard, and SPAD.next will load up as usual. There haven't been a lot of changes to the UI. One noticeably is that the NOTAM moved from the welcome screen to the settings over here, and within the settings we split the settings between the software settings, meaning everything that is global to SPAD.next, and the devices, everything that is local to a profile. So in the software settings, you will also find the section config wizard to start the configuration wizard again whenever you like. You can do that whenever you like, and it's recommended to run it when an upgrade or an update has taken place of SPAD.next. If a reconfiguration is required, SPAD.next will automatically start the configuration wizard after an update. So here we go. Now we have our SimConnect base profile. So let's go to our devices. Let's see, everything is there. That's fine. There's one thing that have been mentioned in the forums, or asked in the forums the last days quite often, is you load your profile and you see something like this. This is text aircraft power off on your device, which does not mean that the aircraft is power off. And you will see that the panels are empty and display nothing, and the hardware panel will be turned off as well. That is because the panel is virtually powered off. By default, every panel gets a configuration for its power state, which can be configured on the upper right corner of every panel with this little gear. It's a device status configuration. And by default, the multi-panel and the radio panel are bound to the avionics master switch, and the switch panel and the BIP panel are bound to the master battery switch, which has to be on for the device to be turned on. If you want to force the device into on mode, you can just left click on the little gear and it will turn on. Or if you don't want this behavior at all, you can just disable the event, and it will not be checked again. If you have a custom aircraft that doesn't support master battery or avionics master like the PMDGs e.g., you will have to reconfigure the gear to reflect those settings. For the default profiles that come with SPAD.next, this is configured already for the planes. So that's about the power off function. Another thing with the multi-panel that you might notice when you're using custom-made profiles and working a lot with simulation controls is that if you press a button here, the button will start blinking eventually and not stop. Yes, that is because in the old version or in the previous version in 0.6 there was a bug in evaluating the button lights, which looked like if it works correctly, but it didn't. So which brings us to the configuration of the button lights. On the top 4 items in the configuration of the lights of the multi-panel are just for how and when should a button light go on or off. If it's used with an simulation data, then you can simply bind it to the data and it will go on when the data has the value configured here and go off when it's configured here. If you are using a lot of controls, you will notice that this will not work. So let me first see if it works in this plane. Let's switch the plane. Okay, it works in that plane. So right now, as you can see, it turned on because I clicked the button, and the button light on is bound to the value on. So it means the button shall go on if the value that is configured within short click on is true, and it will go on. So we turn it off again, and now we clear the configuration for that button. So it's empty now. Just the default ones, it's by default bound to the values. I click the IIS on and nothing happens as expected. Now I configure it to use a control, and that's autopilot, aircraft, general RP, and it's airspeed hold, I think. Airspeed hold, and the on value shall be 1. Again a control, and the off value shall be 0, and I just click save. Now I click it. On the aircraft, actually it has been set, but it doesn't send any event back to SPAD.next, so it doesn't know that the light should go on now. So we turn it off again, and that is where a new thing comes into mind, and that is local SPAD.next variables. In this case, where SPAD.next does not get a feedback, we need them. Or you have to bind the button light to a data offset that can be read. So we can bind it to a simulation data. And again, autopilot, SimConnect, autopilot data, and okay. What was the name? Airspeed hold. Airspeed hold active, and it shall be on if it's on, and it shall be off. Simulation data again. Speed hold when it's off. We save it. It should work. Okay. Why doesn't it work? It's a plane without IS hold. Gonna show that in a second again. But that's basically, you can read the variable here, and the button light will reflect that. Another way is to use a local SPAD variable. So what we do now is, when we click on, we want to add a second event. So we just click the add event and configure that. It's a simulation data, and then you notice this little plus next to the browser, which create a local variable. And this time, we name, and we give it a name, and we name it airspeed hold active, and we give it the value 1. And for the off as well, we select it. And now we don't need to create it again. You will notice that there is a new selection local, and the local variable will show up there, and we'll give it the value 0. Those local SPAD.next variables are only available in this profile. They are not global. So if you load a new profile, the variable will not be known. And so we configure the on button. It shall now be linked to our local variable with value 1, and the off light shall be linked to the value 0. Save it again, and now the button will go on and go off even if you get no response from the simulator. And I can also use this variable now in the BIP panel. Just configure it to use the same variable and say it shall be green and yellow when it's 0. So we ignore that one. And so, hello. It's not something as green. Yeah. Active should work. Okay, there it is. So that's for the local variables. You can play with it, around with it, do a lot of stuff with this, and it prepares how you can do expressions for BIP and other stuff in one of the next updates. So then we come to the new interesting stuff, that's the LVARs. First of all, to see if the LVAR stuff has been loaded correctly and is working correctly, in all simulators in the add-on there will be a SPAD.next menu with an about, which shows if it's there, the bridge has been loaded correctly. By default, the LVAR access is enabled for all aircrafts, even for the stock ones, which also have LVARs, or you can disable it here. And of course you can re-enable it again if you need. So how to access this Cerium, this strange LVARs now? That's pretty easy. You just go into your configuration, select simulation data, and in the offsets you will now notice a new node which is called LVAR, where all the LVAR of the plane are listed. In most of the situations you will be able to guess from the name what it's doing. If not, some manufacturers like A2A Simulations and Aerosoft provide a list of the LVARs they are using and what they are doing. For other aircraft like PMDG, you will have to figure it out yourself. And I hope that we can build an LVAR database over time. Well, the LVARs are described on the wiki. Sorry. Notice the empties over here. That's a common. It's a known problem. Will be fixed in the next update. So we can just select an LVAR here and use it just like any other simulation data. It will always be interpreted as a number, and you can work with the numbers here. Let me switch that, and if I now switch the aircraft, let's load the A2A simulations. 182 Skyhawk, Skyplane, and there we are. I will show you a common problem that you can run into with using SPAD.next with add-on aircraft. So let me move that here, and we move here. So we're gonna start now with a new empty profile. And activate it. So no, we don't want to change it. There we have our Skyplane test. If I go now to my switch panel, I want to configure the starter now. So we're gonna do that in a second, and I show you a common problem. One thing about the switch panel, for those that didn't know, there's no way for SPAD.next when starting up to ask the switch panel for give me your current switch positions. So there's no way for SPAD.next to know about the positions, and it will get it the first time when the first switch is pressed on the switch panel. Now in default configuration, SPAD.next will send all the switch positions to the aircraft, which can lead to a little bit confusion if like the master battery is off and an off value is sent to the aircraft and everything goes off in the middle of the flight. Therefore you can decide yourself how this behavior shall be. Default is all switches will be sent to the aircraft when the first switch is pressed in SPAD.next. You can disable this in settings, devices, switch panel. You have this little send initial switches checkbox where you can say yes or no. I say no now. And I don't want to send initial switches, and say save changes. And there we go. So now we want to configure our starter switch. So the common configuration would be that we use simulation control and say magneto, and we say magneto 1 off for this plane. The next one will be no, not simulation data, simulation control, will be magneto right. The next one will be magneto left. Then we have magneto both as control. Magneto 1 both. And then we have magneto start for start position. That's a common position that works for almost all aircraft. So we have this. Let's off. We turn everything off first, so it stops blinking. Our code switch is broken on my switch panel, so it will not stop blinking. So we just will ignore it for this time. So what we want to do is we want to configure the magneto. So we did this, and we can now turn the magneto to right, left, both, and hello. I think it's already have the problem that it's in the wrong position. Right, left. Okay, we did some mistake in the configuration. Left, both, start, should be working. So, right. Why is it going to both? But it already shows the problem we have, that this aircraft or all the A2A aircraft are not working with the standard FSX events. So we have to work another way around it. If we then investigate a bit, we will find out that the magneto for the A2A aircraft in this case has 4 positions, 0 to 3. And actually the start is not a real position. The start is just a trigger to say I'm on the starting mode, and if I release it again, go back to pause mode. So we're gonna change the profile now to prevent that our magneto switch in the plane and on the switch panel are out of sync. So we are using, again, still using the control, but we use the magneto set, and we know that 0 is off, that right is 1, that left is 2, both is 3. Position 4 is not existing, and there is the problem with the magneto start command, that it will start the start command and never stop it again, and your battery will be empty pretty soon. So that's a bad idea, and that's where we come to the LVARs. There is an LVAR for the in the A2A. You will notice that the number has changed. We had 600 something LVARs before, and now we have a 1700, which is the 1700 LVARs just the A2A plane provides. And we search again. You will notice with a lot of LVARs, the searching in the select offset browser dialog is a little bit slow. I'm working on a big improvement there. So what we have here, let me remember, how it was called? This was called Eng1. And I think start or something like that. Exactly, it's the Eng1 starter switch variable that can be used. And we want to set it to value 1 when we go to that position. And we want to turn it off when we go back to the both position. So we add to the both position a value saying that this LVAR shall be set to 0. We don't need it because if we switch back to the both position, the A2A will automatically turn off the starter switch. And for this one, we use magneto set just to make sure it works, because it worked yesterday. Magneto set. Magneto set. So So we go around and say, right, okay, that's not the wrong right one, so we need to use Magneto 1. But let's make it easier. I have a profile where it's pre-configured. Just load that one to spare time. Where is it? There is it. Yes. No, we don't want to save it. So we go back to switch panel. No. Didn't I save it? Give me a sec. I have to look that up. Didn't save it, I think. Oh, what a bummer. So in this case, God thanks, we have the forum, and we just posted it there. So we grab it from here. So select all, copy it, and paste it. So that's a working configuration for the A2A plane. Okay, it's Magneto 1 set. It's already a bit further. It uses the LVAR for the starter switch to set it to on. If you go back to both, it will be turned off by A2A automatically. And if you have it configured like that, you will notice that you have always a red rectangle around the starter switch, because SPAD.neXt gets confused by the position because it doesn't get any feedback as before from, as I said before, from the plane, because there's just a control being sent and no feedback coming back what the position is, so it doesn't know what position the switch should be, and it says there's a problem. To get around this, we use a local variable, in this case called C182 starter, which will be set to a value that is almost similar to, or the same as the engine switch, just that we have a value 4 we are in start position, so we know in which position we are. And if we then go ahead and set the positions, then we have both, and we go to start. Nothing will happen now, of course, because my master battery power is off. It's not configured now, thank you. That's really great. Let's do it here. Battery is on, so I guess, oh, I know. What did I want? I think the battery is empty. That's why it's not working. Always my problem. My batteries are always empty. So, because I only stand here, and so it will start. Try to start, and no fuel pumps open and nothing. And stop again if I move it away from the start position. So let me look at my list what to show. That's pretty much it for the 0.7. Play around with the LVARs. There's a lot of stuff to find out about the airplanes and the aircraft, what LVARs they use and how they use. There will be links to the manufacturer or production provided documentations in the wiki the next days. Whatever I find will be go there. LVARs that are known to work and what they do will be documented there as well. I hope you all take part in this and put in your information as well, so we get a good database of all LVARs for all the aircrafts pretty soon. So what's left? What is coming next? Coming next is already requested quite often, or in the last 2 days since the LVAR version is out, is how can we monitor what is happening on an LVAR or an offset. There will be an offset monitor coming with one of the next updates, where you can say I want to watch this variable and see in real time what changes to it. Then there will be an interims update with scripting enabled for testing, but not yet fully documented. And then I hope with the end of October we're gonna have the flight instrument panel support. It's almost already done, just some glitches and graphics stuff to do, some performance tuning, and depends on how much time I have to put into that. The support for the joke and the quadrants will come in October as well, as they will come in early November. So that's all for now. Maybe I can show you one nifty thing you can do with the LVARs. I use it in some of my planes that I use the planes where the landing gear is not operating, or the no retractable gear. I'm using them to show me if I'm in starter position on the airplane. So in this case I use my starter value. It shall be red if it's 4, if it equals 4, and shall be green if it's less than 4. So return it, turns green, and if the starter's on, it turns red. That's one of the possibilities you can do with the local variables. A lot of stuff you can do there. Have fun playing around with it. Keep an eye on the forum and on the wiki. The wiki will be filled with information the next days. All information about all offsets will be there. The start of the manual will be there for every panel, what you can do and what you cannot do. If you have any questions, post to the forum or write to support@fsgs.com. Usually I reply within a few hours, unless I'm sleeping, but I'm not sleeping a lot, as you can see. Thanks for watching. Always 3 green. See you next time.